Every June 5th, public awareness campaigns for World Environment Day mobilize communities around the globe to plant trees, clean up parks, and rally for the protection of the planet. This grassroots energy is mirrored at the highest levels of government. Over the past 3 decades, international coalitions have convened repeatedly to sign sweeping treaties aimed at halting climate change and biodiversity loss. Those agreements have yielded immense physical infrastructure. Clean tech development has triggered a massive expansion in global renewable energy capacity, rolling out vast fields of solar arrays and wind turbines. Yet, the latest data assessments from the United Nations Environment Program present a severe reality check. We are entirely off track to meet the environmental targets of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Since the early 1990s, the number of global climate policies and protected conservation areas has spiked sharply upward. But plotting greenhouse gas emissions on that same timeline reveals a contradiction. As protective legislation grows, the carbon curve continues climbing alongside it. Our highly visible green achievements are currently failing to offset the accelerating rate of planetary degradation. We possess more solar panels, wind capacity, and conservation laws today than at any prior point in history. But we have fallen into the space between political intent and physical execution. This is the implementation gap. Ambitious targets agreed upon in diplomatic chambers frequently disintegrate on the ground. A sweeping international treaty rarely alters the daily, localized operations of a commercial farm or an industrial manufacturing plant. Passing legislation provides the blueprint for sustainability. Without the functional mechanisms to enforce those rules on a granular level, the blueprint remains completely abstract. India serves as a tangible, national microcosm to examine how this global paradox operates in practice. Internationally, India has aggressively positioned itself as a leader in climate action, driving the establishment of initiatives like the International Solar Alliance. Domestically, the government is rapidly deploying massive ground-mounted solar infrastructure to fulfill a commitment of reaching net zero emissions by 2070. They are actively supporting these energy transitions with large-scale afforestation drives and expansive wildlife conservation programs. If you measure success solely by policy announcements and clean energy investments, India is successfully executing its green pledges. But step outside the perimeter of those solar farms and you encounter severe environmental degradation. Major urban centers are frequently choked by toxic, hazardous air pollution. Those robust federal conservation pledges clash directly with the reality of local waterways suffocated by plastic debris and untreated industrial runoff. This friction is generated by momentum. Rapid economic expansion and heavy population demands are currently outpacing the structural rollout of sustainable infrastructure. Furthermore, weak enforcement at the local municipal level routinely neutralizes well-intentioned federal climate policies. Connecting a state-of-the-art wind grid does nothing to mitigate the damage of an unregulated factory piping chemical waste directly into the community water supply. Ambitious national targets are rendered ineffective when the daily enforcement of environmental regulations is bypassed to maintain economic speed. India's localized contradiction is the global blueprint. Every major economy on Earth is wrestling with this exact same tension between stated goals and physical execution. We sign strict international conservation treaties, yet vast stretches of ancient forest continue to be aggressively bulldozed to satisfy agricultural demand. We map out protected marine zones on paper, but a severe lack of oceanic patrols allows commercial fleets to consistently overexploit our fish stocks. And while domestic campaigns heavily promote recycling, global volume of disposable consumption and unmanaged waste generation continues to swell. Events like World Environment Day must evolve. Rather than acting as celebratory PR platforms for future targets, they need to function as strict audits of our past commitments. Planetary survival no longer depends on drafting ambitious new pledges for the coming decades. It relies entirely on the difficult, unglamorous, and daily physical enforcement of the environmental laws we already have in place today.